studio with me today is a real treat, Kim Kovash, who is a parishioner from St. Lambert Parish here in Sioux Falls and a mom of 6. Okay, I had to remember that. Thanks for joining us today, Kim.
You're welcome. Glad
She's
to be
coming to us on Mother's Day weekend. So I brought her in to talk about faith and family and being a mom and all that good stuff. And she promised me she wouldn't ugly cry. So
I promise. Tried to promise.
We'll see how that comes out, right?
Yeah. I brought Kleenexes just in case.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kim, will you first just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Yeah. Kim Kovash, member of St. Lambert, and we've been there for 8-ish, 9-ish years, something like that. But prior to that, we were in Omaha. Moved. I'm born and raised here in Sioux Falls. Moved to Omaha for a handful of years. Moved back to Sioux Falls, and we've been at St. Lambert and 6 kids. My oldest just turned 24.
Oh, wow.
And she is married and has a 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old little guy.
My goodness.
Who, yes, keeps us busy.
Is that your only grandchild?
Only grandchild.
Okay, so far.
So far.
You've got lots more to come.
There's more. With 6 kids, I don't know.
Yeah, you'll have lots more.
We'll be surrounded, I think. But and my youngest is 8, and so he's getting ready to receive his first communion in a couple weeks, so he is super excited.
I bet he is.
But yes, he has been waiting for many years for it.
How many girls? How many boys?
4 boys, 2 girls.
Okay.
So
you have a busy household.
Yes, we have a busy house.
Yes.
But, it actually seems kind of quiet now with just 3 in the house, though, because
I suppose
when they were all in the house, it's just busy and crazy and active and come short of saying chaos, but it's just busy. It's beautiful chaos, right?
Right. Yes.
And but I miss it. I remember when people would be like, "Oh, you just wait," and now I'm like, I know what they mean. I know what they mean.
Yeah, and as they continue to leave, you're like, it just gets quieter and quieter, I bet.
It does.
You'll have to convince those younger ones to be noisier.
Yes. Or not leave, right?
Or not leave.
I don't know, though. Maybe I'll be okay. But
what is your husband's name?
Tom. My husband is Tom. Yep. He is from North Dakota. Grew up in North Dakota. Came to visit his brother one, weekend and
one
never
fateful
left.
weekend.
One fateful weekend.
Was that the weekend you met and then he never left? Or
No, I was away. And this is the funny thing is we met the very first time we met. I don't remember. He remembers. I made
That sounds like my husband and I guess that was the same thing.
There's a picture to prove it. There's this picture of us and I'm like, oh, I don't remember.
Does he rub it into you that you don't remember? Because my husband does that to me. Yeah.
A little bit. Yes. But yeah, he stayed and ironically enough, Archbishop Carlson, I have to thank him for introducing us. So
wow.
It was Catholic or the young adult group.
Okay.
And so we met through that. Tom was very active in that. And I came back and I was with Net Ministries and Archbishop Bishop Carlson at that time introduced us and
the rest is history.
25 years later.
Wow.
In May, it'll be 25 years.
That's awesome.
So, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So will you tell us, how did you approach motherhood and faith as your kids were growing up?
Just took them, and it's interesting because growing up, faith just wasn't a part of my life, in our household. It was from my grandparents. My grandparents were very faithful Catholics and spent a lot of time with them. But it wasn't a part of my family growing up. And I didn't come to this place where I was like, well, I'm, gonna, do this. It just was such a part of our life,
sure.
My husband and I, that it just that was something that we just, it was kind of non-negotiables. It was just a way of life, really, as essential as breathing.
Right.
We took them to mass, just we prayed with them. We made it an everyday part of our life, as much as you need to eat, we need to, spend time in prayer, and, just having those day-to-day conversations with the kids.
Yeah.
And, just made that an everyday part of our life. And, sat in the front row. We're those front row people so they could see, I
am too. And that's why we always sat up there as kids.
Yeah.
So I was very used to sitting up front. So sitting in the back is very uncomfortable for me because, I can't see anything because I'm too short. That is not helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. So even though your parents maybe weren't super Catholics or anything, were there things that your mom did that impacted the kind of mother you were as you went along?
Yeah, she loved kids, absolutely adored kids. She was one of 13
Oh,
kids,
wow.
and so she was second in line. I have an uncle that's younger than me,
Oh, wow.
so
That's always fun.
it is. It's, I feel like I grew up with some of my aunts and uncles, but yeah, so she loved kids and she had an in-home daycare,
Oh,
when I
okay.
was growing up.
Yeah.
And just to see her love those kids and, just to take care of those kids the way that she nurtured them. And actually this is kind of like a real grace that I received about, I don't know, a couple years ago. When those younger years, you don't remember so well, 5,
Right.
6, 7, I saw a home video of a birthday
Oh,
and my mom, like, she gave me a doll, like that was one of my gifts. And she was so just tender and loving and wrapping this baby for me and handing it to me
wow.
as if it was a real baby.
hmm
And in my mind, like when I actually really prayed with this too, like, why did that really impact me so much watching that, this many years
hmm
later? Like, just because that was kind of iconic of just the tenderness that
Right.
really was in her heart,
Right.
towards kids, like her own kids and any child that was in front of her.
Right.
Just the way that she loved them so tenderly.
Yeah.
The way that she so carefully wrapped up this little doll for me and handed it to me.
hmm
And
So all
that
of those
really was,
experiences that you had with your mom and even with your faith, I mean, you guys don't have a small family.
no.
So that had to impact your
Yeah.
openness to a larger family.
Yeah. And it was one of those things too, like, well, and again, so myself, there's 4 of us in my family. I have 2 brothers and a sister,
hmm
very close. We were all very close in age too,
Mhm.
within 4 years,
Okay.
we were all, here we are.
Mhm.
And so we grew up very close to each other as well. My siblings were some of my very best friends.
Right.
Um, and so again, and that wasn't like a conversation that Tom and I had,
Right.
like, we're going to have a big family or all the
Right.
things. Like, we just were very open to what, God gave us.
Right.
And it was, I'm not going to say that it was easy. We struggled with some infertility,
Sure.
even though we have 6 kids,
Right.
but we,
People assume though that means
Yeah.
it must have all been easy.
yeah,
But
no, and it wasn't. But just, every child, I remember after one of my kids was born and I said, it's just amazing. You lay your eyes on this new being and you look at all the details, the little wrinkles in there, the doctors look at them. And I remember asking one of the doctors, like, are you ever not amazed? And she said, the day that I'm not amazed is the day that I need to look for a new job.
wow.
And so it led to this beautiful conversation of just the beauty of life and the openness to life and the dignity of life, really. And because she was, I think it must have been like our 5th or 6th child.
Sure.
And just like, and so us, having a big family, it just was a matter of like, we love, the gift of life and we're, whatever God gives us and, we're very open and,
It's great
Yeah.
when you can have a big family like
Yeah,
that and
yeah,
all the kids
yeah.
have lots of
Yep.
friends to grow
Yes.
up with.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So has Mary
hmm
played a big role in your life as a mother?
She has, and even so, I said I didn't really grow up in the faith. My
Mhm.
grandparents were very influential in my life, but at the point where I really came to know my faith in a personal way, like I was on a retreat and it was during a rosary.
Okay.
We were praying the rosary, and I just was very aware of, just her presence and the gift, of her presence, and just have always had. There's been ebbs and flows,
Sure,
and
of
how
course.
much I call on my mother.
Right.
We kind of forget to call home sometimes, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Think we can do it all on our own.
Yeah, exactly, right. But then, but she really has, she's been that rock
Good.
solid presence,
Yeah.
in my life. And there, multiple moments in my life that I can point, like very pivotal moments in my life that I can point to Mary being that,
Wow.
just coming to this place where needing a mother and she was there for me,
That's really
so, yeah,
comforting.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any
Yep.
saints that you turn to a lot, especially when you're dealing with the chaos.
Ironically, Monica,
Oh,
and I
okay,
think that's
sure.
many,
Yeah.
like kind of most moms know that, she had Thomas Aquinas, who she spent many, many years
Augustine.
praying, or Augustine,
Yes.
sorry.
That's okay.
Gosh, I'm
We'll
not
get
sure.
it.
Yes. Did I say Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
okay. Maybe he was bad
Augustine.
too. I don't know.
I don't know. Augustine.
Yep.
But she spent many, many years praying
Yep.
for her. And it's really interesting because my confirmation saying I chose Monica.
Oh, okay.
Not even really thinking about my future as a mother
it.
of many children. But yeah, Monica's kind of a go-to. And, the mother of, is it Zelly? St. Therese.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She, there's some things that I've read of her quotes of motherhood have been, I can't quote them right now,
Right.
but she's, been one that
You've turned
really turn to.
Very
often.
cool.
Oh, I need your help.
Yes. Yes. And they usually will step in and help us.
They do.
Which
They're
is
more
great.
than willing.
Mm-hmm. Did you find yourself praying for your kids a lot?
Oh, yeah.
And probably yourself
yes.
too?
Oh, and myself many, many times, in the good and the bad,
Yeah.
like, 6 kids, you're going to have all sorts of, things come up,
Mm-hmm.
and just many moments of gratitude,
Yeah.
just in that awe and wonder, of these little people that are, entrusted to me and
Yeah.
my husband,
Yeah.
and many times that we've really had to lean,
Yeah.
Are
Are there particular experiences that you found yourself really praying for your kids? Or, I mean, you've got a wide range of ages now
Yeah.
and
Yep.
experiences as they go through life. So was there a particular time, like the teenage years, where you really,
yeah.
you really have a buck, or
Yes.
is it, what has been your
Yeah.
experience with that?
Yeah. I would say, and this kind of flows into a little bit of just just giving my motherhood, to Mary and to
Mhm.
Jesus. Like, they are not my own. These kids are not my own. Ultimately, they're entrusted to us, to pass on the faith. And if I can speak of 2 experiences,
Yeah,
there's
please.
one. Again, I spoke of, just struggling with infertility. We had just lost a baby.
Mm-hmm.
This is when the tears are probably going to
Oh,
come.
boy.
But
You can do it.
we had just lost a baby, and I was at mass. We were at mass, and I was just mad.
That's the hardest
I was
time.
mad
Yeah.
at God,
Yep.
and I just was letting him know what I was telling him all about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we're a good Catholic family. We're going to bring the kids, to church, and we, to teach them to know you and love you, and we want them to have a relationship with you. Just telling them all about it, and very clearly, I heard him say, "Good job." All that baby knew. We lost the baby. I should say that. We lost the baby. And I very clearly heard him say, "Good job." Because from the moment of their conception, they're entrusted to us, and all that baby knew was love.
Right.
And handed over to the hands of the Father.
Right.
And so, in one instance of that, like I prayed, and, very much so.
Yeah. He responded.
But then there's, those difficult moments where, the kids are like, you're like, ah, and, but they're not mine either, and.
So do you say, "Hey, God, straighten these kids up, would you?"
Oh, yeah. Yes. Like, can you help me wring their neck? What can I do that's.
Can you help me wring their
hurt
neck?
me, that's not going to,
Right.
Hurt them. Hurt
Figuratively.
Me, figuratively. Yes, exactly. But really, like, a real gift was, like, one of my sons was coming home from mass one day, daily mass. He, he was in high school, and he was being a teenage boy and kind of cranky with me, and he got mad, and he yelled at me, really. And I was just outside picking weeds, and I'm like, "Hey, how was mass?" Gets mad at me when I asked him about mass, and he just blew up, and he's like, "Mom, from the day I was born, you took me to mass. You took me, to receive the sacraments. You did all the things for me. Leave me alone. This is mine. Let me live my faith." And I was really offended and hurt at first, and for a long time. I mean, and when I say a long time, days,
Right.
and in even those first hours, I'm like, "We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this. You don't talk to
you
your
talk to
mom
me
like
like
this."
that.
That was really disrespectful and all the things. But in the end, that really helped me to realize, yes, we're entrusted these kids, and gosh darn it, I am going to do everything I can do, to ensure that these kids are, like, making good choices and helping them to come into a place that they are able to do that for themselves,
Right.
you know. But in the end, it's not mine.
Right.
It's theirs. It's their yes.
Yep.
And if they are saying yes and moving in their faith and living their faith out of some obligation to me, they're a slave.
That's right.
I don't want that.
Right.
I want their yes to be free and total and faithful, and they're in the face of Jesus and saying yes to him, not to their mom or not to their dad.
Yep. And that's how God wants it too.
Exactly.
He wants it to
and
be a
such
free choice.
Beauty,
Yeah.
Such beauty in that.
Yeah.
And freedom.
Yes. If you're just joining us, we're talking to Kim Kovash for Mother's Day about motherhood and family. So you just kind of talked a little bit about your experience with your son there. And for most Catholic parents, they always hope that their children will stay in the church and have a strong faith. What has been your experience in passing the faith along to your kids? Besides the one you just told us, like how's it going so far?
Well,
if you don't mind saying.
Again, no, that's fine. I'm fine. I'm happy to answer that. It's again, 6 kids, and they are, what's the saying that I like to say? Just they're free, totally free as a child of God. Like God gives them that free will. There's. And they have different personalities too. Some more outspoken. My son that I spoke of, very outspoken.
Sure.
Spoken, like if he's thinking out loud, and he's telling me all about it, which is beautiful.
Right.
Then I have, some that are a little more quiet, so you don't know what's going on with them, But, like there's one of my kids that, she struggles, not really going. She's, like desires, she's married, and married in the church, really desired, her son is, he's baptized, and, kind of, but that real deep living her faith is kind of a journey for her.
Yeah.
It's difficult. But the thing that I hold on to is, and we need those concrete experiences. Jesus, our relationship with Christ, he comes to us in concrete ways. He has a name and a face and a time and a place, like we can name it. And she has those moments in her life, and that's what gives me hope.
Good.
And like I have a son that's in college right now, and I love it when he comes home from school and he's telling me all about the Bible study that he's part of. This is kind of a more quiet one, but yet he'll kind of tell me about, when it's just him and I, tell me about the Bible study that he's in, like he was talking about doing the 7 church visitation on Holy Thursday.
Yep.
I'm like, I had no clue you were going to do that. But, so it's really fun and, so I have an 8-year-old too, and he loves, he's constantly like building Legos and recreating the scenes of, the Bible stories.
Oh, wow.
The wedding feast at Cana was his latest one,
Wow.
building this creation. But, he builds Star Wars Legos
Sure,
too,
of course.
And he's a little boy who gets himself in trouble, but it's so much fun to like have these conversations with the kids, like not in a forceful way, like, all right, let's sit and we're going to pray and we're going to talk,
Right.
But just these
in an organic kind of natural way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
They will bring things up. Philip, he's my 8-year-old. We were driving the other day and he's like, Mom, when am I going to get my own Bible? Like one of those Bibles that you read without the pictures in it. He doesn't want a kid's Bible.
Right.
Basically.
He wants a big,
he wants a big adult
Bible.
kid Bible.
Yeah.
Or adult kid. You know what I mean? Adult people Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway. But
Very cool.
It's really neat to have those conversations, and just to allow them their freedom to kind of wrestle with the questions.
Yes.
Like I said, one of them, she struggles with it.
And
she really,
that's fairly normal in our lives. I think we all have times in our lives where, like you said, it ebbs and it flows. So there might be some times when it's a little drier, your faith, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's not
unusual.
unusual.
And it's okay, because it's those questions can be a gift.
Yeah.
Because if you're really true to those questions and like kind of digging into them and wrestling with those questions, on the other side of that is such a place of freedom to be able to be, more committed,
right.
more, like true, I guess, if you will.
Right.
To what, you're really desiring.
Yeah, for sure.
What's behind that question?
Yes. Okay, so we have only about a minute left. So, but I really want to ask this question, and hopefully you can answer it in a fairly short amount of time.
We'll see.
But I want to know, what role has your husband, Tom, had in your motherhood? Because married people don't work in a vacuum.
Yeah.
No.
No. It really requires teamwork,
Yeah.
and I even kind of hate that little bit of a cliche, but really it's, by this grace of our sacrament of marriage, like I have to remind myself often, sometimes in a white knuckling way, I'm going to admit that,
Right.
that, that we are into this together and the grace is available, to parent our kids. And I think number one, him and I have to make sure that we're like tending to our relationship.
Right.
Because if we are not, strong and really growing together as a married couple, like that grace, like we need that to be able to really, parent our kids, even the adult children. Right.
Yep. For sure.
But he's kind of a Saint Joseph, like I'm a little bit more of the, outspoken and, even though I would call myself introverted, but I'm more of the outspoken one, and he's a very quiet strength,
right?
Very strong,
which you need.
We do need that.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I always like to, this is kind of iconic of Tom, like, I'll, come in the morning to make the bed and stuff. And sometimes we're kind of late to make, get in there and do things. And the kids might be following me around or whatever. And there was one day that rosary was laying on the floor. And it's because Tom sleeps with his rosary. He always has his rosary in his hand. And even when he's sleeping.
Wow.
And Philip noticed that. And he's like, why is that on the floor? And I'm like, oh, Dad probably dropped it in the night. And, but it's that quiet strength. He's always praying.
Yeah.
I come down in the morning. He gets up before me and then I, get ready and come down and he's sitting with his coffee and he's praying, even in the busyness, of the morning activity, the kids getting ready for school. And so I'm really grateful.
Yeah. He sounds like a
that.
keeper.
Yeah. He's a keeper. He really is. He's very, like I said, kind of that strong, solid, quiet strength.
Yeah.
St. Joseph.
Yep. Kim, we're out of time. We have to leave some for Chris Bergwald at the beginning.
We do.
So we'll do that. Darn it.
We'll leave some for Chris.
Thank you so much for coming in for us.
Glad to be here.
And I hope you have a great Mother's Day with your family today. Thank you.
Yes.
If you haven't found us already, you can find us at social media at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at SF Diocese anytime. All you mothers out there, I hope you have a really blessed Mother's Day. That's it for us today. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Catholic Views.